How Putin's regime ends. Vladimir Putin has ruled Russia for nearly 25 years. He's meticulously constructed a system designed for his perpetual power, but as we look at the present, pressure is now building. From abroad, from within his own circle, and from the very architecture of the regime he built. What appears on paper as a semi-presidential republic is, in reality, a tightly controlled personalist autocracy, a state where institutions are hollowed out to serve one man. The formal government exists, ministers, parliament, judges, but power does not flow through these institutions. It flows through one man, Vladimir Putin, and the network around him. Putin is not just head of state. He is Supreme Commander-in-Chief of the armed forces. He appoints judges, directs foreign policy, commands the military, and shapes the economy. His presidential administration, AP, serves not as a neutral bureaucracy, but as a gatekeeper, controlling information, briefings, and access to Putin himself. No individual rises without passing through this tightly controlled filter. Loyalty to Putin matters more than competence. From the Ministry of Defense to state television, authority is centralized and personal. Those closest to him, the siloviki, former KGB and security officials, occupy key positions across the military, economy, and intelligence agencies. These are not public servants in the traditional sense. They are dependents. Their immense wealth, protection from prosecution, and future prospects are inextricably tied to his survival. When we speak of the vertical of power, this is what it means. A rigid chain of command that flows from the Kremlin down through governors, generals, and CEOs. It's not just a structure, it's a system of loyalty, fear, and absolute control. The cracks begin to show, but systems like this don't bend, they break. Putin gambled everything on Ukraine. What was meant to be a 3-day operation has turned into a brutal, protracted war. Russian forces have suffered massive, unprecedented casualties. Entire brigades have been decimated, and the initial military objectives remain elusive. Western sanctions have systematically choked key sectors of the Russian economy, forcing painful compromises, and Russia is now increasingly reliant on China, on Beijing's terms, shifting the balance of power in the global authoritarian axis. The cracks are visible. Senior officials have gone quiet, their once boisterous public pronouncements replaced by a notable absence. Some are reportedly relocating families, while others are discreetly offloading assets, signaling their unease. They are watching, calculating, and preparing for an uncertain future. This week, the international landscape shifted dramatically. Donald Trump announced he is very, very unhappy with Russia.
We will send it. It'll be business for us, and we will send them patriots, which they desperately need.
Standing beside NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte at the White House, he pledged to deliver top-of-the-line weapons to Ukraine and promised 100% tariffs on any nation helping Russia circumvent sanctions if a ceasefire is not reached within 50 days. It's a major reversal from previous rhetoric. Analysts suggest Trump has run out of patience with Putin, and it comes just as Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky reports productive talks with US envoy Keith Kellogg in Kyiv. The US posture is hardening, projecting a renewed resolve. Inside the Kremlin, Dmitry Peskov, Putin's spokesperson, said it was very important that talks continue. A notable shift in tone from Moscow's usual defiance. The elite in Moscow are acutely attuned to these signals, meticulously deciphering every nuance of geopolitical shifts. They are also profoundly shaped by what happened last year when a private army marched on the capital. Yevgeny Prigozhin's Wagner group crossed into Russia without meaningful resistance. No battalions mobilized to stop them. Putin himself vanished from public view for crucial hours, and the crisis ended not with swift arrests and decisive action, but with a highly unusual negotiation mediated by a third party. Weeks later, Prigozhin's plane fell from the sky. a chilling reminder of the regime's brutal logic. To outside observers, it looked like a reassertion of control, but to those inside the system, it looked like a stark warning. The center is weaker than it seems. The inherent fragility of personalist rule. This is not a regime with a safety valve. There is no established vice president, no clear line of succession, no legal pathway for a smooth transition. If Putin disappears, by force, by illness, or by an internal decision by his inner circle, the vacuum will be immediate and immense. Military power flows directly from Putin. The general staff answers to him personally. Regional military districts await central orders. There is no institutional buffer, no flexibility, just a brittle chain of command, reliant entirely on the supreme leader. The security services, the FSB, SVR, FSO, have become increasingly assertive, with some sources suggesting the FSB now rivals the Ministry of Defense in internal influence and even power. Many commanders, directors, and regional bosses come from these agencies, deeply embedded in the siloviki network. They don't just protect the state, they protect themselves and their vast interests. And they know, perhaps better than anyone, what happens when the center collapses. If the elite, particularly those within the security apparatus, collectively perceive a way to survive and preserve their wealth and power without Putin, they will take it. This won't happen with a press conference or with tanks in the streets in broad daylight. It will likely happen with silence, a subtle change of posture, a new name quietly appearing in an official decree. Then everything shifts, because in systems like this, once authority becomes uncertain, it dissolves with breathtaking speed. There is no robust opposition to seamlessly take over, no strong independent institutions to manage a structured handoff, just competing interests, deep-seated rivalries, and a desperate fight to fill the void. Whether that future leads to calm or chaos, a managed succession or a destructive power struggle remains to be seen. But one thing is certain, the regime's stability no longer rests on strength, it rests on timing. And time, it seems, is no longer on Putin's side.